Am I the asshole for pretending to get fired when customers get a temper with me? I am a high schooler with a weekend job at a coffee shop. My coworkers who work weekends are James, the owner's son. He goes to my school. He's a shift manager, but it's not a real formal thing. He's a friendly guy. Danielle, a college student who sometimes works weekends too. So sometimes customers will come in and just be angry about such little stuff. Like literally blow up about nothing. I dunno if they're in a bad mood already and looking for someone to take it out on or what, but it's a lot. Like how sad so you have to be a grown-ass man taking your anger out on high school and college kids. So James and I were joking about having a little fun with them and hopefully getting them off our backs. So one day I was at work and some guy was having a temper about how we don't make the coffee hot enough. Which I couldn't do a thing about because I gave it to him right out of the machine. So James came in and was like, "Sir, is there a problem here?" And the guy started ranting at him too. So he was just like, "OP, this is unacceptable, you're fired." I started acting real sad, like, "No, please don't fire me, my family needs the money, I need this job, please." And he played up being a hard ass, telling me to take off my apron and leave. The angry guy started to backtrack, like it isn't that big of a problem, you don't need to fire her over it. I didn't mean it, and James was like, "No, we pride ourselves on the best customer service." Of course, after all that drama I still had my job, we were just acting. And we've done it a couple times. Whenever a customer will lose their temper at Danielle or I, James will storm in and fire us. And almost every time, the person who had come in angry will apologize and say that they didn't mean it. It's kind of satisfying, making people realize their actions might actually have consequences. Anyway, I was telling my friends from school about this and a few of them thought it was a mean prank, to let someone go away thinking they'd gotten someone who desperately needs the money fired. Am I the asshole for this joke? Not the asshole, that's a perfect way of dealing with hostile customers. Edit, my gosh, thank you for the silver. Edit 2, gold. You are too kind. Agreed. And when the hostile customers try to backtrack, what they say makes it worth it. OP's tactic hopefully teaches them to stop complaining to service workers about things out of their control. I disagree. Just like giving a kid a cookie when they throw a temper tantrum simply reinforces that behavior, rewarding customers when they explode teaches them that ranting and raving gets results. So they'll show up to another store or restaurant, something will tick them off and they'll blow up again expecting employees to also bend over backwards, or I won't hesitate to have you fired. I've done it before. But if the customers are backtracking, it means they didn't like the result, so it's not reinforcement. And if they don't backtrack, you can be like, "Nah, I'm fucking with you. Nah, I'm messing with you. I wouldn't fire you because the coffee is 99 degrees and not 100. That's stupid, and anyone that would lose their shit over 1 degree is stupid." Then they both pause and slowly turn toward a bitching person. This would probably be a really good result. The customer learns a lesson to not make a fuss about stupid things because they have been humiliated about it. And if it goes the other way and the customer gets snooty that they succeeded, they can drop the big reveal and tell them to get the fuck out of the store. To be honest, I'm surprised more of these rude customers aren't satisfied with the firing. I think it'd be even funnier if they were happy with it and then they came back, only to see OP still working there. The potential explanations of, "Oh, that was my twin brother, but now it's my job to support my dying mother and 6 siblings, would be hilarious. They aren't satisfied, because what they wanted was free coffee. This is the real answer. Hey. Even though I am sub to choosing beggars, I didn't realize that's why they might be doing it. Just thought they were wankers. This is a good observation. Or they're just pedantic children who take every little problem and make it the end of the universe so they get 30 seconds of attention and special treatment. I worked for the cable company as a tech and I refused to give out free stuff to rude customers. I'll fix your problem the best way I know how and in a timely manner. If that didn't satisfy them, then tough shit lol. I'm sure you're right in a lot of cases. Go and make an issue about the product or service in hopes of free whatever or a gift card type reward for being an ass. This is truly 90% of the complaints from my old job. People learned that Corp had no backbone and gave out free stuff left and right. We even had repeat offenders that still always got stuff, even when we proved they were lying. Edit, typo. Most likely these customers will be embarrassed and avoid coming back to the store. It's a win-win. God, I never even thought about that aspect. This is actually perfect. I'd imagine it's a case of wanting to act out and be belligerent, but not wanting to deal with the consequences. Like when people road rage but turns out the other guy is an MMA fighter or something. When I was a teenager, I got into the habit of flipping off any red light I was stuck at because I was a teenager, and edgy bullshit like that is something one does when they're an immature jackass. Didn't take long before someone in front of me thought I was flipping them off and flew into a rage. Tried to challenge me to a fight and followed my vehicle for over a mile, honking his horn and screaming out the window. I stopped flipping off red lights after that. But OP said that the people usually apologize. What about when they come back in and the person is still working? Then they realize they've been duped and either A, stay quiet about it to avoid embarrassment, or 2, make a scene about being tricked and how they're never coming back, or something similar, saving the workers the trouble of dealing with that customer again. Win-win. My boss realized he was overreacting, offered my job back, and I accepted. How are you today? I worked at a gas station for a while, and the best thing was when an angry, unreasonable person said, "I'm never shopping here again." I'd say, "Great. Please don't." This was a locally owned gas station and the owners worked every day and they were awesome and would back me up on it too. For people that wouldn't leave and wanted to keep ranting about stuff, I could just grab the owner of the store out to kick them out. After you apologized, my boss gave me back the job. When corporate heard why Boss X fired me, they fired him and hired me back, hoping I won't sue. But I have and won the settlement. This location closes next week, 7 people are losing their jobs. What can I get you? These customers think nothing will happen if they misbehave. It's the opposite. You might get some Karens happy someone was fired, but the only way to fix them is to find out where they work and rant at them. If I'm in any business and a customer acts up, I will talk mad shit to them since the employees can't. It's fun. Got someone throwing a temper tantrum about bagels taking too long to toast to angrily leave the line he waited in for 10 minutes. Fuck these douchebags, it's all of our responsibility to stand up to them on behalf of employees who can't. Fuck you, Karen, we're coming for you. Was at a local grocery store a few months ago, and this guy, 50 to 55, comes storming up to the customer service desk and chews out the clerk, who can't have been much older than 16, about some mix-up at the meat department. The girl handles it well, explaining that she will do her best to figure out what happened. This irritated the man more and he ranted about why she doesn't already know the issue. I got fed up watching this and said, "She isn't a mind reader, sir." He glared at me, and I just kept eye contact until he broke it. He walked away and the girl just said, "Thank you." The service industry sucks and I abhor the customer is always right mentality because they are not always right. The entitlement I experienced working as a server was terrible and I wish I could have come up with something more scathing for this grocery store man, but confrontation is not one of my strengths. Same. I've stepped in and told off teenagers for trashing the coffee station at our local convenience store. I've told off shitty parents for letting their kids trash the toy or clothing sections of a store more than once. I've had customers try raging at the manager to get me fired from these places, which is always hilarious. I love when I get to say, "Sorry, asshole, I don't work here." I just choose to stand up for innocent young employees who are just doing their job and are being abused by some grown-ass moron who didn't get hugged enough as a kid. People can be really shitty to retail employees. I had to step in when a parent once began screaming at Lego store employees for letting their 4-year-old wander off after they dumped their kid in the store like it's a free babysitting service so they could go eat dinner in peace across the mall. That one was particularly fun because I made it very clear that I was sticking around long enough to talk to both the cops and CPS who got involved. Turned out it was the 3rd time that week they'd done this, leaving for over an hour each time. And the 2nd time the kid was crying that he needed to go to the bathroom. WTF do these assholes think store employees are supposed to do? Leave to walk a little kid they don't know halfway across the mall so the kid doesn't shit in their store? Thank God a nice off-duty cop had been there to help that time, but the parent snagged the kid and took off before they could get caught. Not the 3rd time though, and I stuck around and told CPS the entire story, including that these shining examples of parenthood had been out in their car smoking a blunt when I parked while their kid was inside the Lego store alone. CPS left with the child and the cops left with the parents in handcuffs. That was a good night. Though I did feel bad for the kid, it was probably for the best. I'm not sure I agree, just because I think most people aren't truly assholes when they're confronted with consequences. There are definitely some people who need a big slice of humble pie to remind them that their coffee order being slightly wrong is not a reason to have a meltdown at the barista. Instances like this will remind those people to hold their tongues and ask nicely, at least for a little while. There are totally people who will be smug, power-craving shitheads, and they're more than happy to telegraph how much of an asshole they are from miles away. I just like to think that's not most people. While this customer didn't seem to be like that, I do agree with you. I've met too many people who behave like Basil Fawlty trying to fire Polly when they don't get their way. OP and the leading hand picked the right customer this time, but yeah. You're right, and if they keep doing it they'll probably find out that it's not an actual, viable plan for dealing with horrible customers. I've dealt with a customer who wanted me fired because she spotted a tactical police group was meeting with paramedics and fireys on public property adjacent to the shops I was guarding, and I refused to go evict them, the government emergency services, from public property. The armor and guns scared the children, she said. The cops weren't fully armed and armored yet, and the kids seemed rather pleased and excited about it all. I couldn't tell them I think they're getting ready to raid a local meth lab when they asked, even though they actually were. Then this woman carted her kids off to the coppers and ambos and fireys and told them to leave. I saw a cop give the salute, straight arm, open hand, universal sign language for fuck. Right. Off, and back she came. A few weeks later I was a supermarket customer when I saw that woman again laugh out loud. This time she was trying to upset the checkout operator, and escalated it into a formal complaint to management. I hung back cause I saw and heard everything, told manager what customer had said, and I asked that the operator be given a pat on the back for the way they handled it. This woman wasn't a Karen. She was proto-Karen / Chris / guy in a Gibson shirt. An extreme example, but she was used to being rewarded, getting things a bit cheaper, getting staff in the shit, getting freebies. Her habit of complaining isn't unusual, just the level she took it to. Or at the very least, complain in a better way. Yeah, this is hilarious and hopefully teaches them a lesson. And likely they'll never come back too. Depends on how convenient the coffee stop is for them. Emo. Probably not the best business model. Not sure if they want those customers back anyway. Some businesses don't want customers who abuse their employees, especially children. So, that's an unacceptable way to think. Absolutely abhorrent. Had a customer say his name was Daddy. The two cashiers were 17, I was 20-ish. Called his name aloud, order for Daddy, Daddy, got your order Daddy. Dropped his food on counter and pointed to the door, while he got daggers from everyone. He came in a few days later to apologize. But the owner was in that day and pretty much cussed him out lol. Saying fuck you, goodbye to problematic patrons is literally the best business model in the world. Fuck the old boomer way of customer is always right even when they're abusive assholes. It's that attitude that us in that shitty situation where service workers are treated as less than humans and corporations embrace that. Whether you joke or not, what I said is a true statement. I can just imagine some repeat asshole customer who gets the same girl fired every week. This is your last chance, Danielle. I won't rehire you again. This is so great. I've been threatened by customers saying I need to be fired for being so incompetent at my serving job. I wish I could do something like this. Not the asshole. I think it's hilarious and maybe it'll teach some people a lesson about controlling their assholery. OP is a legend. Yes, people who blow up over stupid little things need this. Is this what you wanted? For someone to lose their job? No? Then keep some perspective. You're not an asshole at all. You're the hero retailers need. Brilliant. Edit, thanks for the silver, fellow human rock on gesture. Right? This was my dream when I worked in retail. I'm sorry, but you can't work in me. He can for your mom. R/Beetlejuicing. Man. If I'm the owner, I'd be concerned about potentially negative reviews. I complained about my iced coffee being too cold, and the owner yeeted the barista. Never going there again. Management is mean to staff. Decent coffee though lol. Management was more mean to staff than I was. That's my job. Managers took gerbs. Best thing I've read all day. Not all heroes wear capes, some wear aprons. Not the asshole, customers can be fucking dicks. Usually people are pretty respectful and reasonable, even when they have a legit complaint. But every now and then there's the one guy or gal that comes in and just can't be made happy. They're the worst. I've taken the approach of killing with kindness and being sarcastically polite. "Oh, okay sir. I can microwave your coffee for you, would you like 2 minutes or 5? It's fun, usually pisses them off more, but they can't do anything because you're not saying anything wrong. I'm curious how the customer acts when they come in the next day, following week, and you're still behind the counter? I would think they do not dare to come back at the place. If they do, just say the manager relented. No, you have to make up a story about how you had to do something incredibly demeaning to get the job back. You gotta really fuck with these people." So, story of malicious compliance from when I had a customer get really in my face about how hot their drink was. It was a super busy weekend and these 2 women came in and waited in line. When they got to order, they were already annoyed that it was busy. So they ordered these 2 large specialty lattes, like $6 a piece. After they're rung up, we put the ticket on the machine so we can get to the orders in order. A few minutes later, before we started making it, one of them comes up and asks for hers to be made extra hot. So, worth noting, the coffee shop I worked at did things different than other chains because it was a small, local, mom and pop shop. We steamed our milk for lattes to about 135-150 F instead of 160 F plus like other chains because milk burns at those temps and we didn't like to serve burned milk. When customers requested extra hot, we would steam to about 160 F. So I'm making this lady's drink and I steam her milk to 160 F. Finish the drink and call it out and move on. She picks it up and goes back to her seat but comes back a minute later practically screaming about how I gave her a cold drink and how it's not hot enough. I ask her if she'd like me to microwave it to heat it up and she's yelling about how she paid an arm and a leg for this, so she wants it made fresh and made hotter. So my manager, who had been lingering, steps in and explains our process of why we don't typically make the drinks hotter than that. The woman will not let my manager get a few words in and keeps yelling about how shitty this place is for charging so much for cold drinks, again, not actually cold at all, just not molten or boiling. So she demands the drink be completely remade and made hotter. I look at my manager for what to do and she just shrugs and says, "I guess make it again. And make it super hot." Cue me pulling 4 more shots and prepping the cup of ingredients and getting the milk ready to steam. I put the milk thermometer in and start stretching and steaming. It passed 130. It passed 140. It kept rising, 160, 170, 180, until finally the milk is bubbling and splattering at about 190. I am barely able to pour this abomination of steamed milk because it's gotten so thick. I call her name again and give her a smile so sweet it could give you cavities, extra hot, as requested. She took a sip and I saw her physically recoil, but she just thanked me and walked away. My manager was laughing her ass off in the kitchen afterwards. Glad I didn't get in trouble for totally ruining the customer's drink even though it was legit what she requested. As a barista, I did this so many times to the angry you gave me a cold drink people. Uck the smell of the milk when it get to those temperatures. My favorite were the people who would order a large regular coffee, dump 3/4 of it in the garbage and fill it up with cream. Then come back to yell about how their coffee was cold. I love people who pour liquids in the trash. If you need extra room in your drink, tell the person you're ordering from. If it's a pre-made beverage, find a damn sink to pour it in, you heathen. Someone has to empty the trash can and it always looks like a nightmare to deal with when there's a gallon of liquids pooled at the bottom. Garbage juice. We used to get this at the coffee shop I used to manage. The shop was super fucking busy all the time. The owner literally told us in the politest way you can, fire those customers. We don't need their $3 a week and we don't need you guys to be treated like shit. This is a positive workplace. We make things our way and that's why people come here. If they want ruined milk they can go somewhere else. It was awesome. We were never rude about it, but you don't go to Subway and ask for a McChicken. Wait, what, really? That explains significant other much. Thank you, kind stranger. The owner sounds like a dream. Like seriously, if management in stores stopped bending over backwards, Karens would have to stop leaving the house or finally become better people. Ex-retail manager here. I am so happy I don't have to bend over backwards for Karens anymore. It really opened my eyes to the positive conditioning we give these people. The assholes get everything they want and the nice people just make do. One store policy sticks out in my mind the most: if a customer came up to the counter with an expired coupon, tell them it is expired. If they complain or get upset, give them the discount. Bullshit. I just put in a 3 to 4 blank shots of just boiling water pulled from the machine. Basically no taste difference by diluting a large drink with 100 milliliters of extra water. What difference in taste there is significantly less gross than burnt milk, and makes the whole cup 15 to 20 degrees hotter, which is usually enough. Also, preheating the cup works too. Just fill it with boiling water and let it sit 30 seconds while you get the milk ready. Works for takeaway cups too. Not a bad idea. I'm pretty sure I preheated the cup, but that little detail is fuzzy because this was probably 4 or so years ago now. But yeah, this particular person was just a prick. I was cooking in a small mom plus pop lunch cafe some years ago. We had a customer, Miller, who was never happy with his food. He always had a complaint, like his steak was undercooked, then it was overcooked, or his burger didn't have enough pickles on it, or his salad dressing tasted weird, or his coffee sucked. Dude literally came in 6 days a week for lunch and had some minor gripe every single meal. One summer he was on a burger or sausage with fries kick, and his go-to complaint was that his fries were never crispy enough. We'd let him sit in the deep fryer for like 10 minutes, but it was never good enough. Finally, one day I told the owner Miller comes in around 1, right? I'm starting his fries now. It was only a few minutes past 12 when the potatoes hit the deep fryer. They spent. Now. It was only a few minutes past 12 when the potatoes hit the deep fryer. They spent 15 minutes in the fryer, then I microwaved them for a couple minutes, then back into the deep fryer, then the microwave, then back to the fryer. I went back and forth with his fries for a little over an hour before he showed up. He'll have the burger with fries, he said, and make sure they're done enough this time. The owner hung the ticket up on the order wheel, snapped the clip to get my attention and said Mr. Miller would like his fries well done, please loud enough for him to hear. I lock eyes with him and smile. I'll get right on that, sir. I grill up his burger, put a few extra pickles on it because we appreciate our regulars, and dunk his fries in the fryer for a couple minutes to warm them back up. I took one off his plate and snapped it in half with my fingers. They were dark brown, and completely devoid of moisture. They didn't even have any potato left inside, they were dried hollow French fry husks. If you snapped both ends off one you could see light shine through it lengthwise. We sent his burger out within a few minutes. "How are my fries already ready?" he exclaimed, frowning at his plate. "We knew you'd order the burger special today and wanted to make sure you were happy, so we started your fries once we saw you pull up out front." From the owner. "Let me know if you'd like them more done. I can put them back in the fryer for a few minutes." From me. He frowned again and bit into a fry. You could hear it snap from the kitchen. He double-dipped back into his ketchup and bit back down on the fry. You could hear the fry crumbling to dust in his mouth. I caught his eyes from the kitchen and asked if they were well done enough for him. He put on a fake smile and said they're perfect. The rest of his fries remained untouched. He ate his burger, paid his tab, and left without comment. No comment the next day either. Or the following. He came in 6 days a week for the next 5 years. He never complained again. He also never ordered fries until I quit. I moved away a year later. It was several years after that, when I'd heard he had died, as crotchety old men are known to do. I went out and ate some fries in his honor. I feel like it's pretty easy to come up with a line about how she convinced her manager off the clock to take her back or something if this comes up. Just say you came back but under reduced pay, doubt they know you can't do this with minimum wage. Fake an injury, say it was your punishment. My manager put my hand in ice then poured boiling coffee on it so I would learn what temperatures are. Now I know and I'm so sorry about the coffee before. Please, sir, let me give you coffee, I'll do it good now. Gives cold coffee. Oh, my apologies, due to the punishment I can't actually feel anything in my hands now. Double secret probation. I would just pretend it never happened. But I saw you get fired. I don't know what to tell you. I've worked here a while and haven't been fired. Then James can come in and fire them for confusing the customers. My favorite line that I've only ever used twice is I hope the rest of your day is as pleasant as you are. Delivered with a sincerely cheerful tone and smile. It's a great way to say you're an asshole in a way that they can't really argue with. If they want to call you out, they first have to admit to their own awful behavior and admit to being a hypocrite. Once at Valvoline there was this guy getting oil change before me and he was being a dick to the service dudes, so I made some snide comments back. "'Cause fuck you way, they're just doing their jobs, go somewhere else." He shut up for a while, then dickhole had to say something before he left like, "I'm their #1 fan." So, I told him I hope ya have the day you deserve. For whatever reason, that got his goat and he told me to suck a dick and sped off. That is an excellent line. I need to remember this. I would get written up at my job for this one. If you like the video, hit that subscribe button for more content. I post every day and I'll see you next time with more stories.